Hello everyone, it's me, Henry Buxton. Welcome to my channel, Troubleshooting with Henry. Schmackers to the left of me, schmackers to the right of me. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Today's guest is Jonathan Koensgen. Jonathan came to a career in the arts through a definite family tradition. He is the son of a poet mother and an actor father. His career began at an early age, studying acting at the Ottawa School of Speech and Drama and appearing in their main stage production of Animal Farm, the musical. Jonathan began working professionally as a voice artist on a number of cartoons, including Arthur, Kids in Room 402, The Little Lulu Show, and For Better or For Worse. He performed on stage at the National Arts Center in The Secret Garden and Hamlet. Jonathan has appeared in many film and television projects, including Mary Cassatt, An American Impressionist, Jet, Copper, and V-Wars. He currently makes his home in Toronto, where he is hard at work on a new project. Hi, Jonathan, and welcome to Troubleshooting with Henry, the interviews. I've got 10 questions for you. Are you ready to get started?
Hey, Henry, thanks very much for having me. I'm really glad to be doing this. Yeah, let's get started. I'm really happy to see you.
When you were a kid, what did you want to do as a grown-up?
Well, I guess I'd have to qualify that because I suppose society would categorize me as a grown-up at 34, but I still get to be a kid sometimes. Before I started what I'm doing now, I've always really been interested in the body. My dad, growing up, had I've realized a pretty a good trick. He he got me he got me to massage. He had a really strong back, and he would get me to massage his shoulders and his feet, and he'd do the same for me. And so it got me really interested in physiology and just how the body worked, and even just thinking about muscles. And I remember one of the first kind of anatomical words that I learned was scapula, because he really liked me to go under your shoulder blade. And that idea of empathetic touch, and the kind of the concept of about thinking about what you're doing as being a nice thing for somebody to feel is something that I've always been interested in. So, I mean, yeah, I guess a massage kind of therapy. I mean, I thought about, firefighting and stuff when I was not quite a kid anymore in high school. I thought about maybe a practice in law, something like that. But I don't think that was right for me.
Well, that's very interesting. I could have easily taken you for a firefighter.
Thanks. Thank you. I have yet to have played one. That I think, yeah. But I actually have a great appreciation for them. I'll try and touch back on that a little later. But there's some stuff in my life that I have a lot of thanks for those people.
What is your career now?
I try and make my living as an actor in all of the ways that you can do that. Like you said in your very gracious introduction, which I really appreciate. I've done voice work. I've done work on stage, and more concentrated in the more recent parts of my life. Predominantly, mostly on film and TV. It's an up and down industry, and sometimes you don't know what the next job is going to be. But I really enjoy getting to play all different kinds of things, and learn about different worlds and meet a ton of different people, because each job is different.
Actually, you were the voice artist I discovered for one of my favorite shows.
Oh, which show is that?
Arthur.
Amazing. Yeah, Arthur was an incredible thing to be a part of. I did 4 or 5 seasons. I started when I was, I think, about 10 on Arthur. I would have been in grade 5. I did Arthur and Little Lulu, I believe, at the same time. And I didn't really realize it at the time. I grew up in Ottawa, and uh, I actually remember seeing my brother watch Arthur, and I remember seeing the character. I played one of two twins on Arthur, one of the Tibble twins, Tommy Tibble, and I remember seeing that character one of the few times that I'd seen Arthur, and then I went on to do this for quite a while, and being I guess a teenage boy by the time it was sort of people in Ottawa, in the area, and in sort of my community and neighborhood knew that I was on Arthur. By that point, there are certain anatomical changes. You hit puberty. I didn't sound like this when I was 10. So I sounded a bit more like a kid. So after these changes happened, I couldn't do the voice the same way anymore. And people would constantly, kids in the neighborhood would ask me to do the voice. Do Arthur, do Tommy Tibble. And I think it was, I kind of almost resented it a little bit, but it really afforded some cool opportunities. The show won the Emmys. I don't know. I grew up with an Emmy plaque on my wall. It took being an adult and actually having Chance the Rapper sing the theme song, and he's one of my, I really love his artistry and his music, and I realized how much of an effect that show had on so many people. And I really reflect proudly back on that, getting to be a part of that experience and that canon, and sort of that really important part in a lot of people's lives. Yeah, so I'm glad you enjoyed it too. It's a popular show for a good reason.
Yeah, I was at the age where I didn't know that you did it, so.
Okay, yeah. I feel like, I mean, a lot of Ottawa actors did it. I would have to go there were a few months out of the year where we'd get up really early, like before sunrise, and drive to Montreal or take the bus and go and record for sometimes as little as 10 or 15 minutes. I'd go and do a few lines. We'd have some bagels, and then I'd go back home to Ottawa. Thank you for telling me that you liked it, because it's one of those things that you do and it's out there, and it's nice to know that people that you liked it.
Well, let's move on to the next question. I'm sure we can keep going at this all day. What's the worst job you ever had, and why was it so bad?
I'm sure you know that actors have you have to wait between work sometimes, and so you have to pay your bills and get by, and so I've had a variety of what we call in the industry Joe jobs. It's not meant to put down any of those other opportunities, but when you want to be acting and you're doing something else, it's a means to an end. I've had a number of them. Like, I don't have enough fingers to count, really. All of the things that have helped me pay my rent at the end of the day, sometimes not on time. I've worked a lot in the restaurant industry, mostly here in Toronto. But the first time I worked at a restaurant was for a big company. There's an area here in Toronto called the Distillery. There's this big old brick area. It's beautiful. It looks like it's from a different time. And there are a bunch of restaurants there. And there was a big corporation that ran 3 of the kind of major ones. And I was taking an acting class at the time. I think I was about 20. And one of the, shout out to Antonio Keon. If you ever see this, I love you. And he's a fantastic actor, now lives in Vancouver. And he got me a job as I guess the flattering term would be busboy, but essentially I was a bathroom attendant. And these 3 restaurants had individual washrooms, and I had to dress in all black, and it was a good learning experience, because I got to learn a lot about how high-end restaurants function. So I would polish cutlery a lot. It's actually probably pretty gross in retrospect that I was also a bathroom attendant and I did polishing cutlery, but I was washing my hands a lot even before COVID. But the majority of my job was to go between these three restaurants and take a bag and essentially just empty the garbage cans. It didn't require a whole lot of me, but I got to walk around the distillery and between you, me, and the internet, I slacked off a fair amount. More recently, this past winter during COVID, I was bicycling for Uber here in Toronto on my 10-speed road bike. And in the middle of the winter, both on Christmas Eve and on New Year's Eve, it was snowing both days, and I had little tiny tires. It was very difficult. It didn't pay a lot, but I found it very rewarding. People would probably say it's not a great job, but my experience in doing it, I really love this city. I like cycling. I like exercise. I like the food industry. I like to support it during this time. And so being somehow connected to that, getting people their food when they shouldn't want to have to leave their house. It wasn't glamorous. I wore a lot of the same dirty stuff that got a lot of bike grease and stuff on it. I don't think a lot of people would categorize that as a good job. It was tough, but I think I still tried to find some reward in it. Same as that busboy bathroom job. When I look back, I try and take what the positives were away from it.
Well, that's a great way to look at a job that maybe you didn't exactly enjoy doing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Try and look on the bright side.
Did you go to college or university? And if so, what did you study there?
I went sort of to both. I came here to Toronto in 2005 when I was 18. I had wanted to be in this city anyway. I'd spent some time in the summer and on March breaks when I was in high school visiting the city. I had my agent and longtime friend Kish Iqbal was generous enough to have me crash in one of his spare rooms, and so I got a lay of the land here. Got to know the city, really fell in love with it. I'm a Torontophile. I really like this place a lot, so I wanted to be here, and I wanted to continue pursuing acting. And I thought by studying at a university, something that wasn't acting, I would make myself a better actor by opening up the universe, the root word of the idea of university. I studied a bunch of different things. I went to Trinity College, University of Toronto. I studied media and literature was what I had wanted to do as my concentration. I was interested in the news media and bias, essentially. I kind of lost touch with my real passion, which was the arts and which was being an actor. And so I left after a few years. I didn't take the traditional route with university and college and school, but I still think it was an important experience.
Well, that seemed like you had a really good time.
Yeah. Henry, you hit the nail on the head right there. I had too good of a time. It was fun. That's exactly it. It was an important experience, and it wasn't what I traditionally would have set out to have it looked at as before I did it, but you never really get to plan that kind of stuff.
What do you find most challenging about your job?
Well, I guess there are two initial challenges. One that's more rewarding than the other. One when you're working and one when you aren't. The having to wait by quote unquote wait by the phone for someone to call to tell you that you've got a job can be very draining. You have to find ways to fill that space and ways to keep yourself afloat and both financially and morally, like have pep in your step and energy about what you're going to do in the day. A difficulty that is rewarding is trying to tackle the problems that arise in acting and trying to figure out who a character is. If I were to apply it to the work I've been doing most recently, it's what's the tone of the show? How do I fit into this bigger machine? How do I serve it better? That's a difficulty, but it's a rewarding one.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, that's all. It's supposed to be fun.
Can you give me an example of a time you had to troubleshoot an issue with your job or your personal life and the solution you came up with?
Troubleshooting in acting is kind of a professional consideration. It's a series of problem solving often. I think there's one that really sticks out as far as like a big life impacting thing that I had happen that happened to coincide with some work. I was living in a great apartment building here in Toronto, and there was an unoccupied unit one night that had a fire in it. It was 5:30 in the morning, and there was smoke coming in my apartment, and this is actually getting back to I didn't even mean to say this earlier when I was talking about thinking about being a firefighter as a kid. I was essentially saved. I was pulled out of this building and lost a lot of stuff. The men and women of the Toronto Fire Services were phenomenal. There were 77 of them that fought this very large blaze. I'd just done a TV series called Copper, so I was feeling pretty good about my station in professionally, and I had agreed to do a summer work show, which is a play here in Toronto. That's essentially what wasn't gonna be paying my rent, and that was okay because I really liked the play. But right before we started rehearsing, this happened, like the weekend before. I didn't have. I left this fire with my glasses and a 20-year-old pair of my dad's purple swimming trunks. That was it. Everything else I had was lent to me or donated for about 6 weeks. Troubleshooting, just knowing where I was going to sleep at night. I actually, there were a couple of times where my phone had died, and the person that I was supposed to stay over with wasn't picking up their buzzer, or just for whatever reason. There were a couple of nights where I had to sleep on the street, which is difficult. But again, looking on the bright side and the positive perspective of it, I really, it did an interesting thing to my perspective to have a lot of your physical belongings taken away for a period of time, and kind of an attachment to physical material, and also just feeling lucky to be okay. I remember my first day going to rehearsal. The playwright and his partner, who was an actor in the show, saw me come to rehearsal, and I had one pair of my friend's dad's jeans that I had to make into cutoffs because it was the dead of summer and I was really hot. And I came to rehearsal and was just kind of a mess. I didn't have a wallet, so I just had all of my stuff in my pockets, and I was trying to pull something out, and basically stuff just kept coming out. And the next day they gave me a wallet. And so it's little gestures like that that put a positive spin on not a great situation. And I mean, I guess that's having other people help you troubleshoot, and a lot of help. So I think in the concept of troubleshooting, asking for help and being thankful that there are people who see your situation, whether it be something a lot smaller than that, it's just a difficulty. If you get help, to appreciate it.
Wow, I didn't even know that there was a time when you had to do that.
As far as like occupational troubleshooting, it was the fact that people around me were understanding, and tried and I had a lot of help.
It also teaches me something about you. I understand you better.
Thanks. I mean, I appreciate that.
Hey, Jonathan, is there any organization that you want me to give a shout out to?
In keeping with the conversation we've been having about life right now for an actor in the pandemic, the Actors Fund is something that's really beneficial for a lot of performers. I another troubleshooting moment I had years ago. I broke my leg. I got hit by a car, and it was while I was working on a project too. So it was it wasn't good for anybody. I had to walk with a cane for almost a year, and the Actors Fund helped me pay my rent, and it paid for my cell phone bill. A lot of people have been without work, and you know, if you have a crazy bill, like life happens, and you know, you need some help. Actors don't have a ton of safety nets built in, and this organization is fantastic for that. So I would encourage people to consider donating there.
Okay, will do.
Thank you so much.
What do you find the most rewarding about your career?
Like I said, having Chance the Rapper sing the theme song to Arthur, that was pretty cool. Realizing that that the work you do, it's right over here. I'll be right back. I received a letter a little while ago. I've had this out because I wanted to frame it, but this is a letter from a young girl named Abigail, and she is in Alabama, and I won't read you the whole thing, but it's very well written, and she seems like a lovely young woman, and she's an inspiring young actress, and also liked Arthur, and really noted a lot of stuff that you don't really realize gets out and affects people, and that people take in. And you know, like I said, with this job, when you're waiting for work to come, you kind of are headlong, head down. You're not thinking about, you know, not head up, thinking about how this stuff affects other people. Film is a lot different than theater. There's a connection with an audience when you're acting, and you feel that in the theater. That's probably my favorite, when you feel like you are embodying something and there's that connection. That's probably my favorite part of the job. You get hints of that in film too. You know, when you know that when you feel like you're proud of the work that you've done. That's what feels really good.
That seems to me like you are enjoying what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you do for fun?
I enjoy reading. I love watching movies and television, listening to music. I like basketball. I don't play as often as I'd like to. I enjoy your young body, my friend. I've got my dad's knees and ankles and shoulder and wrists and everything else. I have a really great community here in Toronto, and I really miss getting to see a lot of those people. I mean, over the past few months, some of my favorite things have been Zoom meetings like this, where I get to see friends who are, you know, not close. I've got some of my best friends are in Berlin and San Francisco, and Los Angeles, and far-flung places. So getting to kind of catch up is a fun thing. But as of today, Ontario opens, and I might go shopping. I might just walk around in public spaces that I haven't been allowed to go into for a long time, just to sort of experience that social community. I love to cycle. I like the outdoors. I'm working on a television show right now. Actually, this is Troubleshooting with Henry will be the place that I'm announcing it first. But I've been doing a TV show called Reacher for Amazon, and it's going to be on Amazon Prime. And I play a character named Stevenson. I've been working with a bunch of American actors, so it's sort of hard as someone who really wants to tell people from out of town what's cool to do.
If someone was visiting the city where you live, what would you recommend they see?
Next time you're in Toronto, it'd be great to go to the island. The Toronto Island is a really untapped gem. My other favorite, though, which is a lesser known thing aside from the island, there's the Toronto Island, which is down here. If this is the harbor, And then there's something called the Leslie Spit. It's Tommy Thompson Park. And it's a 7 kilometer long stretch of land that's all made out of old buildings that were demolished and then I guess cleaned and put into the lake. So it's all built on old concrete and rebar and like bathroom tiles. And it's 7 kilometers long, and there are a bunch of natural preserves there. There's like a ton of bird watching that happens there. It's really nice to feel like you're fully out of the city. You can't drive there. You either have to walk or rent or take bicycles.
Okay, I might just do that.
Please do, and let me know when you're doing that so we can do it together.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me on here, Henry. I really I've so enjoyed talking to you. I've watched a bunch of your show, and I'm really honored to be a part of it, and I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you for being on my show, Jonathan. I also really enjoyed the time we spent together on here.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, man.
I was really surprised to learn that Jonathan was homeless at one point. I'm thankful that he was okay after that fire. I want to commend Jonathan for his wise decision. The number one rule when you're dealing with a fire, never go back for your things. You can get caught in the building. Nothing is worth more than your life. He said he had a newfound respect for other people and their generosity. Jonathan was in a tough situation and he asked for help. I once witnessed a situation where someone walked into a gym where I trained and I learned they have been involved in a street fight and were very scared. They were looking for help and found it. Some things are too big to solve on your own. There's no shame in asking for help. In fact, that's the right thing to do, and it might even save your life. If you want to learn more about the organization that Jonathan talked about, the Actors Fund Canada, or if you would like to donate to support entertainment professionals who are facing financial hardships, you can go to afchelps.ca. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe below. And as always, special thanks to Johnny Flynn for giving us permission to use his beautiful music. Happy travels!
Is waiting for you.